Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
And we welcome you to it, this Wednesday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes. Wednesday's always busy. Sam Yarnell is off. David Aardsma will be here to talk baseball a little later on in the show because SportsWrap goes inside baseball. We'll also be joined by our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Get his thoughts on playoff basketball, the passing of Brandon Clarke. We'll actually have Kurt and David on tomorrow's show as well. I will be traveling tomorrow, so we're going to do some bonus content with them today and have that on Thursday's show. So Thursday you'll see more of David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer, and our friend Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. We will actually be off tomorrow, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week, so you'll have special presentations of SportsWrap running on those days. Note to our friends in the affiliate world that are watching. All right. As I said, a lot to get to in this show today, and we're going to start on a bit of a heavier note here. As we always do on this Wednesday edition of SportsWrap, we get things started with the big story. And the big story is presented by our friends at Colossus Fantasy. Pick'em games, peer-to-peer, you name it, they've got it. Fantasy, it's fantastic. Go and check out my friends at Colossus Fantasy. Download the app today. Use my promo code SportsWrap when you go and sign up. On your first deposit, a $10 deposit, it's going to get you a $40 bonus. You put in $10, you get $50. What's better than that? Or you can put in $20, and for a $20 deposit, you get an $80 bonus, meaning you deposit $20, you get $100 total to play with, courtesy of our friends at Colossus Fantasy. Go download the app and start winning today. The NBA world was hit with tragedy on Tuesday. First with the news that Memphis Grizzlies player Brandon Clarke had passed away. There is various reporting out there, drug paraphernalia being found at the scene, the belief that this is an overdose. All of that will obviously be ruled on. I'm sure there'll be an autopsy and all of that stuff will be done. And we're going to talk with Kurt Helin about this coming up a little later on. So I don't want to spend too much time on it here because I want to get Kurt's thoughts on it as somebody who covers the league in and out on a day-in, day-out basis. But you're left wondering when you see stories like this about warning signs and how we got here. How do we get to a point where a 29-year-old is dead from a suspected drug overdose? And only thing that comes to my mind, and I'm not trying to place blame, crappy things happen in life and in this world all the time, every day to people. And I know there are some people out there that might even take the approach of, millionaire athlete, what could he possibly be going through? And you never know what somebody's going through. Brandon Clarke was hurt for much of this year, and there had been some incidents off the court with him in the past. But when you see a story like this, you can't help but wonder, how did nobody get through to Brandon Clarke? How was nobody able to stop this oncoming train that clearly was coming, and either nobody saw it, or people chose to ignore it, or nobody wanted to intervene, or maybe some people did intervene and it just didn't get through. But it truly is it's senseless. It's I hate the word. It's trite and comes off as not meaning a lot, but it really is senseless when you lose somebody like 29 years old. What should be the peak of their life and their career. So rest in peace, Brandon Clarke. Big story number one. Big story number two is one that's a bit more personal for me. As a lot of you know, I'm openly gay. And I remember where I was about a decade ago, a little more, when Jason Collins announced he was coming out and was playing in the NBA and came out of the closet and made this declaration to the world. And I was sitting at a restaurant, I think it was a Denny's, in Washington, D.C., We had just got done watching a Nationals game the night before, my husband and I. And we saw Jason Collins had come out of the closet. And one of the things I had always wished for was the chance to interview Jason Collins. And not because I'm selfish and I wanted the big story or the big scoop, Jason Page interviewing Jason Collins. Not because of that, but because I wanted to say thank you. And I never got that opportunity to say thank you to Jason Collins for breaking down this barrier, for swinging this door open, so to speak. So I'm going to today, with the time that I have and the platform that I have and the privilege that comes with that platform, I want to say thank you to Jason Collins, because he changed a lot of lives when he came out and took the slings and arrows that to this day nobody else in the NBA has decided to come out and take. And that's one of the things that will be discussed in the hours and days ahead when it comes to Jason Collins, is what is his legacy? And I've fought with that. I fought with that question when it comes to Jason Collins, because I don't know what his legacy is. I've struggled with that question. I was talking about it with one of my editors over at MS Now. We were thinking about writing a column. What's the legacy of Jason Collins? Because a decade after he opened doors and showed you can be openly gay and came out, nobody else has. And I don't know what the reason for that is. If it's the league and the way it supports or doesn't support the LGBTQ plus community. Not pointing fingers, I'm just asking questions. Or whether it's the true fear and self-loathing that can sometimes come with being gay. I don't know. But the one thing I do know is that Jason Collins deserves my thanks and the thanks of all of us in the LGBTQ plus community, for doing what he did and carrying that torch that nobody up until then and nobody since wanted to carry. Jason Collins passed away from a brain tumor, glioblastoma, a very aggressive form of brain cancer. He was just 47 years old. And again, from myself to his family, to his friends, I just want to say thank you for sharing him with the world, and thank you to Jason Collins for all that he did. Kurt Helin joins us on the other side. Sports Wrap continues. Welcome back to the show. Lots to talk about on this Wednesday. I said what I had to say in the big story. Now let's bring in our friend, the one and only Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Hangs out with us every Wednesday on the show for the NBA Weekly. I don't know why I feel the need to do it in song. I have no idea.
Your love of musical theater?
But I really don't. I was that guy that lived in New York City for a decade. I think I went to like 2 Broadway shows the whole time I lived there. It's crazy. I know. And I used to live right next to Times Square. So lots to get to with you. And we're actually going to do some stuff for tomorrow's show as well. Because as some people as I told some people, we're actually physically off Thursday through next Tuesday. So we're actually doing a lot of extra content with Kurt today to use in tomorrow's show. So today could be tomorrow, depending on when you're watching, and the outfits will look the same. Let's talk about the on-the-court stuff first, Kurt. I don't have a problem. Kendrick Perkins has all been out of shape about, and maybe it's because he picked the T-Wolves to win the series. I have no problem with them not suspending him for Game 5 of that series. I also don't have a problem with them throwing him out of Game 4 the way they did, Kurt. I thought the NBA got it right all the way around. Now, if that's Draymond Green who throws that elbow in Game 4, he's suspended for Game 5. And rightly so, because there's a history. But this is Victor Wembanyama, who has no such history.
The history played a big factor. The other part was that he had missed essentially the entire Game 4. Like, he was the second quarter. So he missed the entire second half, and they lost. because in part because of that, right? Like, so that was a lot, I think, went into a lot of their thinking that we are punishing him there. And I'm with you. They made the decision. I would have made it, although if they had suspended him, frankly, I wouldn't have been horribly, but like, I don't think that was like
Really?
out of the realm of possibility, just because that was intentional and that was harsh. And that like it. So I get it, but you are right. I had Timberwolves fans who were like, well, Meta World Peace. I'm like, come on, man. No. Meta World Peace had a history. Draymond Green had a history. If this were Dylan Brooks, right? Like, if it's someone with a history of this kind of cheaper stuff, it's not. He gets away with it. Does the league not suspend stars? Yeah. Like, that was, I don't want to say that was a factor, but in this case, I think that was enough, and he responded. He 16 points in the first 7 minutes.
Amazing.
Set the tone for the game.
Yeah, 6+ minutes. He had 17. He was simply dominant. He set the tone for that game on Tuesday night, Kurt.
And can I say really quickly, what really separates these teams? It came out in that game. Wemby sets the tone. Don't get me wrong. He's 27 points a night. He's the guy. But when all game long after that, Minnesota would make a run to get even or close to it. And each time it was a different Spur who responded. It was Keldon Johnson once. It was Stephon Castle
Dylan
once.
Harper,
Dylan Harper had a great game. He's been brilliant this series. That depth is, look, the Minnesota gets that from Ant. The Anthony Edwards steps up when he can with his knees at, I don't know, 70%? Like, I don't know, wherever it is. Like, he's clearly not himself. He finds moments to do it. But Julius Randle has not been good enough. Just flat out not been good enough. They're not getting that kind of depth and guys stepping up where the young Spurs are.
He disappears. Randall certainly does disappear in these sorts of moments. It has happened throughout his career. I certainly remember seeing it with the Knicks. Do you think the Spurs wrap this thing up? Or are we going 7?
I would not be shocked if look, they could wrap this up. I think they are going to win this, but if you told me it was 7, I would not be shocked. And that, by the way, would give the Thunder more than a week off.
There's parts to me though, but here's the thing. There's parts to this, Kurt, where I've watched this series, and I know it's 3-2, but I mean, if you really look at the series, you know who the better team is. Because to me, they lose game 1, despite the fact they play horrible. They have a shot to win the game in game 1. They lose game 4 without Wemby, and they had a chance to win that game late. And you know, it just feels like they're the better team in the series. I would be stunned. Whether it goes 6 or it goes 7, I would be shocked if they lost this series.
I think the only thing that gives me pause, and the thing that frankly gives me real pause, despite the trouble they've given with the Thunder, is they're young. They haven't done this. They haven't done this enough. Minnesota's going to be tough to close out. That's a good team with some pride that will play very well at home and in game 6. And then game 7's are weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like one game things can happen.
How do you explain Cleveland and Detroit? You know, the way Detroit looked through the first 2 games. Cleveland has been so good at home in this postseason. How do you explain that series? You know, Donovan Mitchell has the crazy second half in game 4. And you knew he'd be good for one of those games in this series, and that was that game. How do you sort of handicap the final 3 games of this series if it is going 3?
I think Cleveland's in trouble. Just James Harden's been inconsistent. They've gotten a couple good games from him. They've gotten bad games from him, which is what we all knew was coming with James Harden, right? Like he's up and down. And so you see moments like the second half of game 4 where they look like the best team, but they have not been able. They're 0-5 on the road. They've not been the same team on the road. Harden hasn't been the same on the road. I don't trust them to come in and put a game together like that away from home. So I still think this series goes the other way. Really?
And look, you know, one of these teams is going to get the Knicks, and the Knicks are going to be sitting there plenty rested. But the question for the Knicks now is Anunoby with this hamstring. What do we know?
It was a mild hamstring. I think by the time they're getting enough time off because of this, again, like the Thunder, who don't need it as much. Well, they do have Jalen Williams out,
sure.
So maybe they do. They get a week off, right? You're going to get a week off to rest and recuperate. And maybe that makes you slightly rusty in game one, but they'll take that for getting some bumps and bruises and all the stuff from a physical series past them and in the back.
How do you, in the last 45 seconds, how do you grade this season if you're the Sixers? You beat the Celtics, then you get swept by the Knicks and get destroyed on your own home floor with Knicks fans everywhere. How do you ultimately grade this season? We know what they did with Morey, and we could talk about that later. But just from a on-the-court perspective, where the Sixers go from here?
I think playoffs were a perfect example in that when everything clicks, they can beat Boston. When Embiid is healthy and playing well, but again, he hasn't played 6 straight games since December of 2023, and he had to miss time in this series. Yeah. He's coming raced back from the appendectomy, but. Yeah. There's always something.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. We got more with him on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. The NBA Weekly with Kurt Helin continues. Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Kurt Helin hangs out with us. All right. I'll do the LeBron stuff with you for the Thursday show. Let's just talk about the Lakers, getting swept in this series. And again, much like the Sixers, you're kind of asking these questions. All right, we got through the first round. Now what happens with LeBron? What happens with Austin Reeves? This sort of dilemma that this team is in and where they go from here after a sweep. Then we'll get to the Thunder.
I think you see a pretty radical overhaul of the roster. Outside of, Luka's not going anywhere. He is the future. Luka and Reeves pair well. Luka and Reeves are actually tight. They get along really well. So you re-sign Reeves, and he's not giving you the big hometown discount this time. You're going to have to pay him $35 to $40 million a year. It's going to be 4 years at $160 million or something. And he's a fan favorite, by the way, so, you do that. But if you've got those two guys, then you have got to go get defense and shooting everywhere else on the roster. And they don't really have that outside of maybe bringing back Rui Hachimura. That one's going to be interesting. They can't keep him and Luke Kennard, so I'm curious how they're going to handle that. But you're going to see, I think I would be surprised.
And Rui was, and by the way, Rui was really good. I mean, all of a sudden Rui became Reggie Miller. What the hell is going on?
Rui's actually improved year after year. He's become a really good player in that role. The Lakers are going to have to pay to keep him because there's a lot of other teams. I mean, we're talking last segment about, hey, Philadelphia wants to tinker around the edges. If you put Rui in the Tobias Harris slot, that's you got younger and a little bit better at this point. There's going to be teams that look at Rui and make a run. The same with Reeves. There's teams salivating for a chance to take a run at Reeves, so you're going to have to pay them. But I think they've got to do there's rumors they want to go after Peyton Watson out of Denver. That's the kind of, whether they can get him or not, that is the kind of player they need. They need to go get those kind of two-way, athletic, younger shooting wings, and we'll see how much they can get. They are going to be you're also going to see, by the way, a huge overhaul in the front office. They've already talked about getting Rob Pelinka 2 assistant GMs, one who is player and development, one who is more a numbers guy who's going to do caps and more analytics stuff. You're going to see them fill out their front office and their scouting staff in a way that they have not done. They've just not done in years. They've been a pretty, if you want to be polite, streamlined organization.
Which is crazy for a franchise worth as much as the Lakers.
Right. They have operated more like a mom and pop, and that's not going to be the case now. They're going to use their money much like, this is what Mark Walters did with the Dodgers. Right? Farm system, man. We're going to fill this out. It wasn't just buying Shohei and all that. He built out the organization there that has them where they are.
Take us to the Thunder. We take it for granted. But this team hasn't lost in the postseason. They're winning a lot of these games in blowout fashion. They still don't have Jalen Williams. I mean, it really is remarkable what they continue to do. And the Lakers pretty much held SGA in check for most of this series, and they still found ways to win those games going away.
That's the challenge with it, right? The Lakers did throw everything at SGA and threw him. I mean, he had 35 in the last game. He
Yes.
started this way, but they threw him off his game a little. And so AJ Mitchell steps up, right? And a second-year guy that they've got, by the way, who's now on a 3-year, $9 million contract, the best contract in the NBA right now, AJ Mitchell. They've got youth and talent everywhere. They've got some hard decisions coming because the cap is coming for them. You know, the Jalen Williams extension kicks in next year, Chet Holmgren, like they got to pay those guys and it's going to be harder. They've got a lottery pick this year and they've got 13 first-round picks over the next 6 or 7 years in the first. Like they're so stacked to just keep drafting guys and rolling through this that it's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And assuming they get the Spurs in the next round, I don't think they're going to run through them in a sweep.
No.
But do you still feel like right now, if you were handicapping this thing, you're comfortable with the idea that it's going to be Oklahoma City coming out of the West?
It's Oklahoma City winning it all. By the way, Spurs Thunder, with all due respect to your Knicks, is the NBA Finals.
Oh, stop it. Come on.
And the Thunder are just
Why
better.
Why you got to do that to me? Why you got to do that to me, Kurt Helin? Really? You give the Knicks no chance against the Thunder?
I don't think it's a good matchup for them. I think they're the number of defenders they can throw at Brunson, the trouble they can give Cat. It's just not a good matchup for the Knicks.
I want to talk about Jason Collins with you tomorrow on the show. I want to focus for the last couple of minutes here on the passing of Brandon Clarke. This came out of nowhere yesterday. 29 years old. Guy that's been around the league for a while, averaged 10 points for his career, dealt with some injuries last year. I mean, what's been the reaction from people you've talked to around the league?
Just shock, just for why it went down, and you can find that out online. But like this was a guy who was a rising star for them a couple of years ago, right? I mean, he was like, man, everybody could use a Brandon Clarke, all that energy off the bench, and then people forget tore his Achilles. That's a year out. Like played 6 games 1 year, shoulder and then knee and then calf this year kept him to I think 2 games for the whole season, and something seemed to happen. He seemed to get into trouble. I mean, he was arrested in Arkansas for possession of a drug there in a like felony level, like distribution level. And now this is
Kurt, I don't want to point fingers. Where the hell was the play? Where's the Players Association, Kurt? Where was the play? There were obviously signs here. Where was the Players Association?
I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I don't know how many people came forward and tried to talk to him. That is also a challenge for Memphis, and that this wasn't an organization with a strong leader at the top necessarily that hey, we got to step in it. Like if this had happened with some other organizations, you felt there might have been veterans, there might have been people who tried to, and I also don't. I know there were people around Brandon Clarke trying to help him, and sometimes you got to seek help, and so I wish this had turned out differently. He's so young and so. It's just really a tragedy.
It really is on every level. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Check out his work there. We will have more with him on tomorrow's show. We're going to do some segments for that and have that for tomorrow's show as well. Check out his work at Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com as well. Thank you, my friend. Always appreciate you.
Thank you.
We're coming back with David Aardsma to talk baseball. Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of the show. Wednesdays are for Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. And they're for this guy. SportsWrap goes inside baseball every Wednesday with the DA, David Aardsma. Hangs out with us Wednesdays on the show. So last Wednesday, let's address the elephant in the room, because Monday and Tuesday I completely ignored this topic. I said I'll save it for when David's here on Wednesday, because we probably could spend a lot of time on it. So last Wednesday on the show, you made a quick sort of offhand comment at the end of one of our segments, our first segment last Wednesday on the show. He made a quick offhanded comment. For people who didn't see it, here it is. David Aardsma, when I casually mentioned the idea of Trevor Bauer jumping into maybe the Tigers rotation or some other team because, you know, the injury to Tarek Skubal, which now seems like it won't be that long, which we'll get to. And this was David's response. Watch.
They need to figure something out regardless of the injury.
Yeah. Trevor Bauer's looking for a job.
Nah, we're okay.
Hey,
I don't even know if he's allowed that close to Ohio.
So you don't think there's any chance Trevor Bauer gets another shot in the majors?
There might be. But like, it's completely disregarding that there was a lot more other problems before the one girl who it was an absolute piece of crap. Before her, there was other problems there, and there's other women that were accusing him, and there's other things the MLB knows that just isn't out. There's a reason that he's still not playing, and it's not because of one accuser. There's multiple accusers. We only get to talk about one.
On Thursday or Friday, I put up a clip of that because what happened was we went to a commercial a minute after that comment with that very quick back and forth. We went to commercial, but we were still rolling. I'm always rolling. So I carried the conversation with David off the air, and we actually played that conversation later in the week, and then we posted it on YouTube. Well, Trevor Bauer saw it, and Trevor Bauer wasn't very happy about it. Because I basically said, because after Trevor Bauer made this pitch to MLB teams via his social media, David, he said, hey, sign me to a minor league deal. You don't have to pay me anything. You have nothing to lose. If I suck, you can cut me. Somebody give me a job, basically. And I said, this is what a man desperate to get on an MLB roster looks like. He wasn't very happy about that. He responded with a sarcastic, please, 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 I'm begging, somebody hire me. So, David, I wanted to get your thoughts on Trevor Bauer's reaction to your reaction to the idea of Trevor Bauer getting an opportunity to pitch in the major leagues. The floor is yours, sir.
Exactly what we thought it was going to be. Exactly what we thought. What's interesting is what this takes is somebody sitting in their locker on a, Friday afternoon before a baseball game, searching his name, searching his anytime somebody mentioned him, and then commenting. That's, yeah, have more to life, have more things to do. But this is what it is. He's a very good pitcher at times, very good pitcher, and pitching very well in the Atlantic League. I pitch in the league. A lot of people say it's a joke. It's not a joke. There's a lot of very good talent in that league, and it's gotten better. He's pitching really well. And two, he's an internet troll that just sits there and scours the internet because that's what he's become, and that's what he's always been, and that's why players didn't like him in a lot of places. That's why he got kicked out. The Diamondbacks didn't want him because of the clubhouse, and then major league teams are seeing that and going, well, that's the distraction. You are an internet troll now. Like, great pitcher, internet troll. Do I want that in my clubhouse? Heck no. And even in the comment that he originally posted, he said he's not going to be a distraction. And then he posted a video of him screaming at a 20-year-old umpire, losing his mind at a 20-year-old, and recording it. Trevor, that is exactly why, like, on one hand, people don't want you. And then you have to face the problems with everything else that comes with it. And on the other hand, you're pitching really well. If you just stopped doing that, people would want you. But at the same time, if you stop doing that, people would stop paying attention to him. So that he can't, once you're a part of that, and that's how you're making your life is through the internet, through social media, through YouTube, through videos, he has to do that. And at the same time, Major League Baseball wants nothing to do with it.
But you say it's not a joke to be pitching in the Atlantic League, the level of competition, blah, blah, blah. Where would you put it? Is it between single A and double A? Is it somewhere between double A and triple A? What is the Atlantic League?
There are times it is above triple A, and there's times it's below double A. There's times
that's a wide range, Aardsma.
What it is there's within the lineup, there is a spot that is major league worthy. Every single lineup has 2-3 guys that you could put on the back end of a major league lineup. Every lineup, maybe 2. But then every lineup has 2 or 3 guys that is a double A-ish, maybe even a lower quality. Every single lineup. So if you can get just those 2 guys out in the middle, dude, you're going to blow through it. I had almost a 0 ERA until the All-Star break-ish, and I'd hurt my shoulder lifting like an idiot. But as long as you miss those couple guys in the lineup, you're going to blow through this level. The problem, too, is a lot of people don't understand. Trevor Bauer's old. So was I at that league. I think we were the same age, 35-ish, when we were in that league. You can't just throw you in some minor league levels. There are age restrictions on levels. There's age restrictions on places you have to go. So it's like basically he has to go to AAA or the big leagues. And so like you don't get there's no low A for I don't think, like maybe you get one for, and that's usually like a rehab idea for the rehab stuff. So there's a lot of weird other restrictions that might have changed that by now.
We're going to do more with David. I wanted to let him weigh in on the Trevor Bauer stuff. There's more to get to with him about guys currently pitching in Major League Baseball. A couple in particular that I want to get to with him, both in the National League. We'll do that as we continue. Sports Wrap goes inside baseball every Wednesday on the show with David Aardsma, former big league reliever and closer. We're talking about the Trevor Bauer stuff. By the way, 15 strikeouts in his start for the Ducks, I think last night.
Yeah, absolute dominant. Like, again, absolute dominant. It's not a question of can he pitch there. It's a question of, like, at a higher level in Japan, he sucked. This is like we've already had the litmus test. All right.
We've given Trevor Bauer enough oxygen with one segment on the show. I'm sure his agent appreciates it. Hi, Rachel Luba. Let's talk about guys who are actually pitching in Major League Baseball right now, and start with Paul Skenes, who, after his opening day debacle against the Mets, which partly was because of some terrible defense in the outfield from O'Neal Cruz, has been fantastic. Carried a no-hitter late. Skenes looks amazing. I don't think he's walked a guy in a month, David. I mean, describe as a pitcher and a guy who's pitched at the highest level of this game how easy Paul Skenes is making it look right now.
He hasn't walked a guy in a month. He has. It's playing with guys, and we didn't think this guy could get better. He is getting better, pitching better. Yes, very first game, 5 innings pitched, or whatever it was. 0.2 innings pitched with the 5 earnings. Bad, but the defense played a lot to do with it. It's probably a cold day in Pittsburgh. Or in New York. Who cares, man? This guy's pitching unbelievable. He's an amazing talent. We've known it. But again, he's getting better with almost every single outing, getting further in games. The fact that he has increased his innings almost every single start, he's exactly what he's been, which is scary that this is going to become so normal. It's going to be the Mike Trout factor. Like the Mike Trout, at some point, you're just like, oh, okay. But you're realizing he's almost 40-40 every single year. He's going to have these seasons that are just incredible, but amongst his standard, it's going to be just normal. He's on another level. It's just a question of, are they going to keep building a team around him and keep him and sign him, or is he going to walk? And that's such a hard problem because it's going to those questions are going to come up every single year instead of how great it would be if he could be there his entire career.
Let's talk about another stud within that same division. What Jacob Misiorowski did against the Yankees, turning that lineup into a bunch of little leaguers basically on Friday night. A bunch of pitches over 10 pitches over 103 miles an hour, 13 pitches over 100 miles an hour. Sam and I talked about this week, and I don't want to pour cold water on what he's doing here. Can he keep doing that? It almost feels like he's better suited to be a closer long term to me. Throwing that hard the way he does at his side, because I'm just scared to death looking at him, his frame, that he can continue to do this without injuring something, David.
Everything looks wrong. Everything looks like something would blow at some point, and it might, but the way he's pitching, the way he's doing it, I've got no doubt that he's in the right role, in the right position. Yeah, maybe one day he's John Smoltz, but you know what? I thought the exact same thing, and it reminds me a lot of Chris Sale. Chris Sale just had the lower arm slot.
Chris Sale.
But a lot of it reminds me of Sale, but a Sale was a little bit more across his body, lower arm slot. Did not throw as 104 miles an hour. Something like the top 30 hardest pitchers of a starting pitcher this year are all Jacob Misiorowski, and he has the top 10 hardest of all time. All those numbers are just ridiculous, and he's just going to get better as well. Again, he's one of those guys that came on the scene last year and is just improving and getting better. He's going out, walking, less guys, striking more out. It's not just a flash in the pan. Now you're seeing him go out and dominate teams. And when he went out and dominated the Yankees, that just was unreal.
How do we explain Jose Soriano? Like, is this real? Is this lasting? Or do you see in him what he's done so far? Do you see this as something that is lasting and sustainable for him? And if you're the Angels and you're in last place with this guy, and I know that the top of the division to the bottom of the division is like 2 or 3 games or whatever. How do you sort of view this Soriano sort of sensation that's going on out there with the Angels?
Well, his first couple of years in the show were actually pretty good. We're good. He just had a bad year last year. So his first year, 3.6, 3.4. So he was improving, getting more innings under his belt. And then last year kind of was a step back. So it's not that it's unheard of. Again, if I have a Jose Soriano on my team, I'm celebrating it and I'm riding this baby as long as I can. Do I believe there'll probably be a little bit of a regression back to the mean? Yes. But it's not like this guy was putting up 4s every single year of his career. It was 3.4 and then bad year. And then again, a couple good years. So I dig him. I like what he's doing. I like how he goes out there and attacks hitters. But, I'm riding it for as much as I can. Walks up maybe a little high, maybe a little high. It's still not bad. But the fact that he's going out there and striking out more, over 9 an inning, you have to love it. Over 9 a game, sorry.
Yeah, the Angels being bad doesn't surprise anybody at 16-27. The Astros,
I thought they'd be better.
I know, but the Astros being this bad, and I know they've dealt with injuries, but the Astros being this bad, David, how surprising is it to you?
This bad, yes. Now, at the same time, they've had so many injuries. The injury bug has been a lot for a lot of different teams. But when you're looking at the amount for this team, it's kind of through the roof. Obviously, we know we lost Correa. That was a huge one. Pena, Diaz. You're looking at Hunter Brown. You're looking at one of the best closers in all Major League Baseball, and Hader. So there's so many different injuries on this roster.
We'll have David Aardsma on tomorrow's show as well. And shocking, we'll actually be wearing the same things we're wearing right now, which is always kind of interesting when that happens. David, appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for hanging.
Thank you.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. A few reminders. Programming note. We are off Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. Special editions of Sports Wrap on those days. Tomorrow's show will have a lot of NBA and a lot of baseball. Kurt Helin, David Aardsma, because we had extended conversations with them. We did that intentionally so we can have content for Wednesday and Thursday's show. So a note to our affiliates and everybody watching, we are off. I will be traveling tomorrow to the East Coast. We'll be in New York City and Connecticut for about 5 days. It's my father's 83rd birthday. Happy birthday, Pops. We love you. Jaji, which is grandpa in Polish. Jaji, happy birthday, my friend. Miss you, and we'll see you soon over there on the East Coast. A couple other reminders. Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show Monday through Friday. Crystal clear audio in your ears, wherever you get your podcasts. While you're driving to work, on the treadmill, on a plane, like I will be on Thursday, make sure to go and subscribe today. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. Monday through Friday, TV version of the show, available on the YouTube channel. Commercial-free, 45 minutes waiting there for you early each afternoon. If you have not done so yet, subscribe to our Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Sports Wrap Shorts are there as well. When news breaks, we jump in, and boom, we create Sports Wrap Shorts, 1 to 3 minute long, vertical videos made for people on the go. News breaks, big game, whatever it may be. We have it covered with Sports Wrap Shorts. Sports Wrap Shorts also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram as well, Sports Wrap Jason Page. And without any further delay on this Wednesday edition of Sports Wrap, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Well, look, 2 NHL conference semifinals have been duds, basically, with the Avalanche making fairly quick work of the Wild. They'll try and wrap that series up on Wednesday night. And we saw what the Hurricanes did to the Flyers out there in the East. But 2 of the series have been bangers. Sabres beat the Canadiens last night, 3-2, big third period goal there. Sabres get the win, tie that series up at 2 games apiece, headed back to Buffalo for Game 5. So the Sabres trying to continue this remarkable story after not being in the playoffs for so long, not just in the playoffs, but 2 wins away for potentially going to a conference final against a Carolina team that will certainly be heavily favored in that series. Sabres win that game 3-2. The Golden Knights and Ducks are playing a really fun series. If you're looking for something to watch, I suggest getting heavily invested in Golden Knights Ducks. It has been a really entertaining series. I watched last night's game almost in its entirety. Vegas wins in overtime 3-2 after blowing a lead latter stages of the third period of this game. They were up 2-1. They give up a late goal. 2-2. They go to overtime fairly early in the overtime. Golden Knights, I think 5 or 6 minutes into the OT, get the game winner. And the Golden Knights up 3-2 now in that series, going back to Anaheim for Game 6. I would be shocked if they weren't back in Vegas for a Game 7 in that series. Odds and ends, Catherine Legge making news. Catherine Legge, who's been racing in NASCAR on and off here over the last couple of years. I had our friend Jerry Bonkowski on the show Monday, and I don't know if I asked him the question on the air or off the air. But I inquired, I said, is anybody going to try to run the double this year? Kyle Larson's tried doing it over the last couple of years. I think Kyle Busch has done it. A number of drivers, Jimmy Johnson, a number of drivers have tried over the years to run the famed double, which is go race in the Indy 500, which is grueling unto itself, the great American race, and then race in the Coca-Cola 600 that day. So go from IndyCar in Indianapolis to Charlotte and go race in the Coca-Cola 600. Kyle Larson's tried it the last couple of years. It hasn't worked out for him. 1 year weather was a factor. Last year unable to do it. Kyle Larson's not trying it this year. But Catherine Legge apparently is. And she's going to try and race the famed double between the Indy 500 and then the Coca-Cola 600. And how crazy would it be if the person to accomplish this, the next person to accomplish this, would be one of the few women that we've seen racing in NASCAR over the last, this millennium so far. Catherine Legge's going to try to do it. It'll make for a hell of a story and a hell of a build-up over the next couple weeks. She's going to have to qualify, which is another matter unto itself. As I was texting with our friend Jerry Bonkowski, she's gonna have to try and qualify here, over the next week or so. The All-Star race being held for NASCAR this week. She won't be a part of that, but she's gonna try, and on fairly short notice, is Catherine Legge gonna try to qualify and race in both the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. We wish her luck. And that is how we wrap up this Wednesday edition of Sports Wrap. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks to our friends Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com for hanging out with us. Again, he'll be with us on the show tomorrow, as will David Aardsma former big league reliever and closer. As Sports Wrap goes inside baseball every Wednesday, we'll have bonus content with him on the show tomorrow as well. And again, thanks to all of you for watching. I'm Jason Page. That does it for Sports Wrap. We'll catch you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.